Okay, hello, greetings and welcome. Alright, so this video is on the ground path model in Tai Chi and the fundamental theory of how the ground path model works. So generally when people are using ground path model, they're concentrating their awareness on relaxation from the ground up through to the crown and out to the tips of the fingers to form each posture of the movement. So as a beginner, you relax your foot, get a solid grounding in your foot. You feel the 5 toes, the 2 balls, the blade, the heel, hollow the arch, check the ankle alignment, relax and sink all that. And get a nice firm, sticky connection with your foot. Then your shin calf aligns through the ankle, and you ensure that your knee is in alignment and you relax your knee down. The femur should be in line with the middle of the toes. So the 2 triangles of the leg remain on the same plane. You should never push your knees out, you'll wreck your knees. Never pull your knees in, you'll wreck your knees. Keep the 2 triangles aligned. The jump test fixes most postures. So in any posture in Tai Chi, you should be able to jump vertically straight up. If you're not able to jump very efficiently and high, it means there's a problem with your knee alignment. So do the jump test. So this relaxing of the foot, ankle, calf, knee, and relax the quads, and you let everything drop down to the ground. You're relaxing from the ground up to create a path for relaxation to fall, to have an increased grounding. If you are relaxing from the top down, there's no place that's already clear for the energy to fall, so it'll accumulate and make it more difficult to sink. So you sink from under, going up. This will also apply to correcting any joint. Let's say your shoulder's stiff, you relax and release the upper back scapular area, and then the shoulder softens. You don't relax the shoulder. You stretch the fascia underneath it, and then that stretch allows the tension from the shoulder to drop. So always relax from under. When you get to the hip-pelvis alignment, you have sort of like this triangular network between your hip and pelvis, and a triangular network from the hip and Ming Men point. And your Ming Men is most inward curve of the spine. And the tailbone and sit bones, you want to relax and sit them down as low as you can. Now, when you stretch the tailbone down to your substantial leg, the leg that's got your weight, your grounding on it, your lower back alignment will change slightly. So if you're grounded in your back leg and you swing the tailbone towards your back leg, then the pressure will change in direction if you relax your tailbone towards your front leg. So this aligns you to your power. And this makes perfect sense, because if you're going to pick up a heavy object, you relax through the front leg and create vertical power, and you need to tilt the tailbone down to do a powerful lift. Where if you're going to push a car, you'd need to swing the tailbone slightly back to ground your back leg out to push forward force. So your tailbone alignment adjusts according to where you have maximum connected mass and power inside your stretch. So the swinging of your tailbone gets the correct alignment. Pick up a bar with about your body weight on it, and then rock your tailbone forward and backward until you get your Ming Men in the right place, and it'll click into this place of power. And then you go, okay, that's where I'm strong. From there, relax and stretch the hip open. Now, you at first think, how can anyone stretch the hip open? It's a joint like this, and it opens and closes. So you can pull it all open. As you work up the spine, stretch the spine, honoring the curve of the spine, and keep everything stretched open from the hip. So the hip drops, the spine stretches. When you get to the upper back and you round the back, you want to feel the path underneath that midpoint of the upper back, that midpoint of the scapula, so it can drop. If you don't drop that point, the back will rise and you'll be highly vulnerable to being uprooted. You hear this statement, pluck the back. That's totally wrong. You don't pluck the back. You release and drop the back. And this generates the rounding and hollowing of the chest, the hanging of the shoulders, the hanging of the elbows, and the looseness in the hands. Now, this ground path model obviously requires a continuous connection to the ground. It's a ground path. You're relaxing from the ground up. Any force that touches you, you want to create a mental vacuity, an empty space within your awareness to travel and lead any incoming forces through your body, carrying a quality of relaxation, transferring force from muscle tension into facial web tension down to the ground. So mechanically, your whole facial web is being loaded, while psychologically you're creating mental space and vacuity for the person's mind to fall through you. And alchemically, this mental vacuity and this relaxation from the muscular tension line into the facial web line, this type of relaxation carries a feeling of chi, the feeling of vital astral energy. The energy is slowed down, so this is why it has this Tai Chi sort of look to it when you're doing the Tai Chi form. Because the mind is released of time, the energy moves into the astral. The astral runs in a slower continuum than the physical, so there's a slight disparity between the physical movement and the feeling inside the body, and it generates this lag. So we have the rate of sinking. I also sometimes call this a rate of transformation. When a person puts a force on your body, how fast can you relax that force through mental vacuity, lead it through your body to the ground, and transform it from muscle connectivity and tension to fascia connectivity and tension to activate energy. Now, if you've done the building the ball Qigong exercises, you quickly realize that when you open the joint and relax and hang the muscle and create a lengthening in your stretch, you produce more life force. Now, with the ground path model, you're relaxing the person from the point of contact straight through the ground. They're stretching out your facial web, and this creates an increase in life force. And if you're creating mental vacuity, an emptiness in your mind, inside that feeling, you create a huge polarity, a rhythmic bang. So as you sink down, the body creates a counterforce and the springs get loaded and the force comes back. But it comes back based on its own type of timing. You have contrived mechanical timing to bring the energy back, and you have, as the extreme of the vacuum, the mental vacuity increases, the body corrects and energy comes back. A type of non-intentional bounce. It happens as a byproduct of mental vacuity transferring relaxation and force from the muscle to the fascia into an energetic state which compresses and decompresses the field and makes a bounce. And this is the Tai Chi, or the yin and yang. This is a basic summary of the ground path model. Obviously there's a lot more to it than that. You want to be working between the polarity of muscle and fascia. You want to be working between the polarity of fascia and how it produces life force. You want to be working on the polarity of the feeling of life force and releasing time into the astral field, what people call chi. And then you want to be working on the polarity of how the mind and mental vacuity can lead that, create a more yin state through which energy can pass. When you're working with people's center of balance, it's all about mental vacuity. You touch their center of balance and you create your mental vacuum and their balance gets pulled out. If you're working with mechanical heavy pressures, it's how you pressurize their intent and then disappear. And the moment you disappear, there's a contrast and they fall through your body, through your relaxation as you draw them in before the counterforce comes back up. So there's a lot of ways of playing the ground path model. The dangers of the ground path model is any person I know who's been training it for a long time and are good at it have a bad back, bad hips, and bad knees, or all of the above. Because of the relaxation and release, there's a tendency to become a bit too jelly-bodied. And if you allow this jelly-bodiness to be there, your structure is kind of doing this when you receive large amounts of weight. So you're basically destabilizing your own structure. Because the teachings on transferring from muscle to fascia aren't clear, that there's muscle tension and there's fascia tension, people tend to go from releasing muscle to a jelly body like an octopus. This is really bad for your health. So all the people I know that are dedicated to the ground path model and work on a jelly body, they all have bad backs, bad knees, bad hips. There's always some sort of problem. So be careful with this model if you train the ground path model. I teach it to beginners to create correct structure and correct alignment to the ground, and then I move on to the Dantian model once they've learnt the form. And then the Dantian model becomes their platform, because the Dantian you learn to be more in resonance with energy, and the energy becomes your root, not the ground. So it's not ground path, it's a chi path. It's a field where you lead all forces onto that field of awareness and you manage those forces there. That's why people come to awareness, where they become energy aware. A lot of the people I know that are very good at ground path and focused on the ground path model become energy aware because they're in their body. You can't be aware of energy when you're focused on mechanical changes inside your physical form. So it's a bit of a trick. But when you're grounding in the field and expanding into the space around you, you pressurize that space when people put force on you, it makes you very aware of energy because your spirit senses become active outside the body, your astral body senses become active outside the body, and your physical senses are left at the wayside because it's outside, it's not inside. So you're not trapped by your own body's sensory system. So we go to the sinking the chi Dantian model as soon as the person's learnt the form. When people come to train with me, I only teach them the Dantian model now because it's just far superior. You get better results quicker because I don't teach the form anymore, so I don't need the ground path model as a teaching vehicle for the form. I hope this helps with understanding the ground path model and some of its strengths and weaknesses, and how it functions as a good vehicle for beginners, but it has a lot of limitations in how to cultivate chi through it. Thank you for your time. See you in the next video.